Hey everyone, welcome to That Pedal Show. Dan here.
Mick here, hello and welcome.
Welcome indeed. Just before we get started, if you're just joining us and you haven't subscribed, please subscribe.
Click.
Also, check out thatpedalshowstore.com for we got some new merch in.
Yeah.
Nanu. This is
Toneverse.
Toneverse.
Yeah. I just need to check something while Dan's telling you these messages.
Yeah. So yeah, please do that. It's the main way we support the show. So that'd be appreciated.
Yes, and go to thatpedalshow store.com. That's what we should have said.
Oh, what did I say?
Don't know. Did you not say that?
So I think I did, but anyway.
If you're new here, this is part of the course. I was just checking that the room mic there was actually on a figure 8 pattern, Dan, and not cardioid.
Heaven forfend.
Yeah, because things have changed. Speaking of change, imagine you had one of these programmable reverb devices.
Imagine indeed.
Why are we doing this today?
I don't know anymore.
We just had 2 hours of chasing around a phase problem, so we both feel a little bit angry, and that ire will come out during the show, I am sure.
Indeed.
Via musical expressive form.
Yeah, or interpretive dance.
Yeah.
So why we're doing this, we've had a couple of big reverb releases recently. Also, I wanted to explore why you would want a programmable reverb.
Nice.
If we go to an amplifier that we're used to with an old Fender amp or whatever with a spring reverb in it, and I think a lot of us are used to getting that spring reverb to a point where it's just nice, but the advent of technology means that we can do a lot more with reverbs, and also we're now combining the way that the power of these new processors, what you can do with reverb is incredible.
To wit, today, the Strymon BigSky is on there because it was the first pedal that Dan and I ever featured on that pedal show.
Yeah, that very one.
Second, it was the poster boy for flashy ass DSP reverbs, wasn't it?
Yeah, I wouldn't have put it that way, but
10 years old?
At least.
Yeah, so old. Contrast that with the very latest, very flashiest thing that's out, the Mercury X from Meris. We've got the Boss RV-200 as a fantastic, cost-effective do-it-all, stereo do-it-all, which we haven't heard yet much before today's show. The Poly Verbs from Loki at Poly, hey Loki, which has got some interesting stuff that you'll see.
Mm-hmm.
And the only non-stereo one today, the EHX Electro Harmonics Oceans, the 3 Verb in their New York DSP series, so really affordable and does a lot in a small footprint. So we're going to go into each of those pedals, cover some of the main features, but not like deep dive on every one.
Yeah. Just a quick look at each of them. Here's the thing. What we need to be able to define is the question that you've got and whether or not which of these reverbs answers that question. So let's get into it. The rig today...
I wonder what the settings are.
We've set up a rather spectacular 2-Rock TS1. So the 2-Rock TS1 is in the center, and that's basically the dry signal. We do have the Kaluna overdrive pedal, which is also going to the front, but the TS1 will always remain dry. We have split the signal from the effects loop back into the board, and that is feeding all of the stereo, all the reverbs, and then we come out stereo left and right from the reverbs into the Mesa Boogie power amp, the 5050, and that goes left and right. So the center amplifier is always dry, and the left and right from the 5050, that's where all the reverbs are.
And because we've got stereo reverb, there will be panned hard left and right today. I'll see how the Oceans fares because it's mono. It might be that we pan and back mono for the Oceans, but I'll make that clear in the text on screen. Those of you who use the effects loops on your amplifier will know this broadly as the 4-cable method. In, back out, back in.
Yeah.
Albeit we're using a separate power amp and speakers for the bit that's doing the wet stuff.
Yeah. Sort of like a 8.5 cable method.
Yeah.
4-cable
method plus.
Yeah.
All right. I think we should start with the BigSky.
Okay.
Because it's the oldest.
Yes.
And it's the one that you used for years. What do you want to tell us about the BigSky?
This was a step change. When this came along, reverb lovers, like everything changed. Let's have a quick listen to, well, here's our dry sound. Okay, so we don't have any reverbs on, no nothing. This is just the amps, amp, plus. So now we turn the BigSky on.
Surprise, surprise, that preset's called choral.
Right.
Because it sounds like
voices.
Yeah.
So one of the first things that I discovered about the BigSky, because what I was stunned at with the BigSky is why would I want a bunch of reverbs? I had a delay that was doing all of the, ping pong and all the pitch shifting and all that stuff. What was it about a reverb that I would want loads of different sounds? And as soon as I heard that choral thing, I was like, okay. So this is their spring. And once you've selected the type of reverb you want, then you've got your tone. These two parameter knobs give you different things to change per reverb engine.
Great.
So depending on...
So one of those will be
dwell.
Dwell.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So low end, dwell.
Yeah.
Let's try this.
Yeah, doesn't sound much like BB King live at the Regal to me.
No, but I think spring reverb is probably the hardest one to get right.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's 10 years old. They had a good go. But when you get into things like the plate, just have a go at that for us.
That's what it's all about for me, digital reverb. There are reasonable spring reverbs on the digital spring reverbs on the market. Mentioned the Ventris from Source Audio, and there's a couple others that do it okay. To my mind, nothing really sounds like a proper spring. And if you get a proper spring and A/B them, it's
because we have access to great springs, so we're so used to that sound. But yeah,
what
when
we do not have access to are rooms and plates and halls. And that is even before we get into the whole, the big word for the BigSky was shimmer, wasn't it?
Shimmer. So yeah, they had done a reverb with shimmer before, but you can go onto the shimmer thing, and this adds octaves onto the repeats. But you say the repeats onto the wet sound that gets regenerated. So when you hear that, And the first time I'd seen this in a pedal was this feature. So I heard that and I was like, done.
Hold.
It's like a freeze. You could easily get to all those sounds. And then that whole thing was just always under that foot switch. I didn't have to dig around in menus and it's like, it's always there.
Or getting a separate expression pedal.
No.
Yeah.
You know, obviously you can do mix and all that, control any knobs with the expression pedal, all that stuff. But when this came out, the ability to have all those sounds stored as presets, control with MIDI, and then just press and hold the foot switch for infinite, it was like, that was a game changer. And it still sounds great. You know, so like for me, I find the interface very simple to get my head around, and it might be because I'm so used to it.
Yeah, because you used it on the timeline for so many
absolutely.
years. Yeah.
The interface with these is a massive thing to consider. Yeah, it's still great.
All these years later.
It's still fantastic.
Okay, and I guess for something like a BigSky, you're going to be laying out $400, something like that. £400.
Yeah, it might even be more now because everything's gone up recently.
Something like that.
Yeah.
So let's say you don't want to outlay that amount of cash. Now there are many kind of no brand, and I don't want to be too disparaging, but low brand copies of stuff coming out of China. And you can pick up pedals for 29 quid, 39 quid, 49 quid. We're going to go with shall we say, a established and more reputable brand, which is Electro Harmonics. And it is astonishing what they pack into this. Yeah. So this is their NYDSP series, and I'm guessing NYDSP probably means New York Digital Signal Processing. Please tell me it means that. It's called the Oceans 3 Verb, and it's called 3 Verb because it's got 3 algorithms in it. A spring, which I've already said I'm not a massive fan of. A plate and a hall.
Cool.
So plate reverb, Google it. Totally mad thing that was invented ages ago. There you go. That's as much as I'm going to explain about that. Huge thing that is impossible to cart around and is on the sound of countless famous recordings. So plates are really important.
Yeah.
As are halls, right?
Indeed.
Have a play on this then, Dan. It's currently set in the spring setting.
Okay.
We'll do it. Here's the amp. I appreciate we could have changed more stuff on the BigSky, but that's already doing a better job of that than the BigSky for me.
Than the spring.
With the brightness, because you get a bit of the drip.
Okay, right.
Quite like that. Okay, let's move on to the plate then, which will be this one.
That's awesome.
The overdrive is coming from the amp, by the way. It's the TS1's overdrive channel. Tell you what I love about this. Number one, it has an overall blend control, right? So given that it has analog drive-through, we're assuming that it's got analog drive-through because we're not hearing any phase or
shift.
latency issues when the pedal's turned on and off. So you can blend in as much of the reverb as you like, which is pretty cool in itself. Secondly, it's got a dedicated control on the plates and the halls. It's got a dedicated control for pre-delay.
Oh,
So
nice.
Dan, if you just give us a skank. And actually, before we move on, also a tone control, right? So it can be really bright or really not bright. And that is all available right off the top panel there. So give us a couple of skanks and I'm going to turn the pre-delay up.
It sounds really good.
What I think is great about this is that if you want to emulate rooms, I know we're still on the plate setting, but an emulation of a room or indeed a big hall might include a pre-delay. That's where you play the note and it takes just an amount of time for the sound to come back at you. And that's really important in authentic rooms and halls.
Absolutely.
Let's have a quick listen to the hall then. I'm going to try and set it. We're going to go for a dark tone with quite a bit of pre-delay, quite a lot of level, and not much time to simulate a smaller, maybe a room. And then I'm going to do the opposite of that so it ends up as a vast cavern.
Okay.
A vast hall, okay?
Yep. We've got a bit of El Granjo on there.
Okay. It's really cool.
A lot of work's gone into that. It sounds really great.
On the plate and hall settings, if you turn the time up to maximum, you get sustain.
Okay.
You get essentially the hold control that we had on the BigSky.
Oh, okay.
It's designed to do that.
Wow.
Honestly, for however much that is, like $159 or something in America, so it'll be similar pounds in the UK. Pretty capable.
Yeah, it's amazing. The big difference is there are a lot of sounds in there. You have to dial them in manually.
Yes.
And so these ones are programmable. So what that means is once you've got that sound, you can store that sound in these pedals and recall it by either pressing a foot switch on the front panel or with MIDI. But actually, you know, if there's a reverb in that you love, grab 3 of them. You know, it's probably cheaper.
Yeah, but then as we'll come on to discuss in the video, you know, I'm a fan of having all the controls where I can see them, so everything is always WYSIWYG. And if I want to change it, I can just change it there on the fly.
Yeah.
Because if I've got to dive into a menu to change something, ain't going to happen.
Sure.
And that's what I love about the RV-200 and also the CXM 1978, which we don't have on the board.
Well, let's jump into the RV-200 then, because that's the sort of the next level up.
Yeah, this is new-ish from Boss. It came out, I think, tail end of last year, maybe. I'll just get my little sheet here. And we might have to refer to the manual, but in any case. So Boss came out with the 500 series years back. which were fully featured. I mean, that's the width of kind of 1.5 pedals. These were sort of 2.5 pedals. Lots of menus and all that kind of stuff.
There we go. This was the 500 delay.
Yeah, and a lot of people were using them. You know, they were essentially the main competition for Strymon, right?
Yeah.
They were a little bit less expensive, but in terms of the way they were fully featured and everything. After that came the 200 series, which were much more stripped down, even better value for money. And instead of having loads and loads and loads of buried features, there are quite a few menus, to be fair. But actually, the main meat and potatoes is on the top panel.
Right.
And I think this is a fantastic addition to the 200 series, because there is an MD200, there is a DD200, and for what it's worth, the DD200 would be the delay I would buy if I was looking for a do-it-all delay for sensible money.
Yep.
Hands down.
Yeah, it's great.
RV-200 then. Okay, so we've got 12 reverb algorithms.
Okay.
Remember, this had 3.
3. Yep.
And one of those is new. It's called Verb.
Cool.
Don't know what it does. Maybe we'll have a listen in a minute. You've got 127 presets, which means you can do MIDI.
Okay.
So it can be MIDI controllable. It's fully stereo, whereas the Oceans was mono. If you want to get into stereo. And the architecture of it and the way you use it is the same as the DD200. Now, I'm going to see if I can remember.
Okay.
Yeah. So as you'll see from the top panel, let's put this down.
It's a very beautiful guitar you're putting down there, Michael.
It doesn't suck. I'm going to have to get down on my hands and knees, which always seems to be the case with pedals.
You know what?
Okay, we could keep going all day.
Yeah, we
but
could. It sounds fantastic.
Yeah.
It really sounds fantastic.
So in addition to your plates, your rooms and your halls that you would absolutely expect, you've got shimmer, you've got the gated one you heard at the end, there's a slow release one, there's the weird lo-fi one, and we didn't really touch the top knobs too much. I did affect the bass and treble, which will affect the repeats only, and you'll hear what a colossal effect that has on the resultant reverb. So you can make your reverbs darker or brighter, depending on how you like them. In addition to that, it also has momentary hold.
Yeah.
Using that thing, using the right foot switch there. But you can also assign that to do other things like warp, twist, reverse. I think for the money, for the features in it, for the way it sounds, analog drive-through, doesn't flip phase on the output. I can work it. The parameter button there, for example, if you're in the room, that gives you a small, a medium, or a large room, and then you can affect your time from there. In a different reverb algorithm, it would give you access to some other things that you would want to change. It's so intuitive to use. Plus the MIDI, if you want that, mono or stereo. It even runs off batteries, probably for about 5 minutes, but anyway.
Sure.
I think it's killer.
Yeah, it's great. I pray that they've got the MIDI is banging.
Yeah, because you struggled with it in the DD200, did you?
Yeah, they were just trying to get like things like tap tempo, CC messages, and that sort of stuff was a challenge. So I would imagine that on this they've got that sorted out. It does use mini jack, for the MIDI.
Same as the Poly.
Same as the Poly. Whereas the other two have got full-size DIN connectors on the back.
Yeah.
It's not a big issue, but it's something to be...
Just something to think about.
If you're going
to do that.
Sonically, for me, it's awesome.
And then in addition, you can plug in, well, not obviously, you can plug in an expression pedal to vary any kind of parameter that you want. You could use a Boss FS5 or the bigger one with 2 switches to get additional functionality. It's
powerful.
I'm a fan.
Yeah. Okay.
One final thing to mention, if you don't want to use MIDI and you do want to access a small number of sounds, that switch on the right there, the memory hold button that you can see. So on the Oceans, for example, we're on and off. And if you want a different sound, you have to change it and turn it on and off. On the Boss here, I'm really hoping if I press that right switch, it will go from manual mode, the green LED, and it will go into a series of 4 presets, which means you can have manual mode plus 4 presets. You've got 5 sounds off the top panel. Please. Yes. So if Dan, Dan just plays for a minute, you will hear that. So you've got 5 sounds straight off the top panel there. If you want to
great.
use the additional function, I'm really hoping, this is what it is in the DD200, you press and hold, and it'll change the function of that switch. So now, if you play...
Fantastic.
Took me one additional button press to work out. So if you press and hold it, it changes the function of the switch. If you then momentarily press it, it activates the hold function, and you press and hold again to get back to your presets.
Yeah, what's really cool about that?
That's everything I want.
Yeah. Also, because you've spent a bit of time with the 500 series and the 200 series, you're straight in there.
Yep.
There's no messing.
That's like you with Strymon.
Yeah, exactly.
Whereas it'd take me a week to work out the BigSky.
Sure. No, very cool.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's move on then. Let's have a look at the Mercury X. So when we first heard the Meris Mercury 7, I was like, that's the best pedal reverb I've ever heard. Sonically, they just were nailing it, have been nailing it ever since.
Meris did the algorithms for the Chase Bliss CXM 1978, just for the record.
Yeah. So those sounds are in there, which we'll get to in a bit. What the Mercury X, they've taken the topology basically of the LVX and they put it in the Mercury X. So there's a lot to get through. So what we'll do, this is just a very simple, let's see what sort of reverb we've got in here.
I like the way he says very simple. Actually, just for the record, it does do all the simple stuff.
It does.
We won't spend too long on that, hopefully.
Okay. Little sound called Into Dust there. Right, okay. The guys at Meris are a
Think we
massive...
get the picture?
Yeah. They're a massive fan of sci-fi,
Right.
right? So...
Actually, that's not sci-fi, that's just space.
It's nano. So... And they really understand the the sound of eerie space, and they know what it takes to get character and mood into the sound of space. So as much as, all the simple delays or reverbs are in there, but you've got, the way that you can adjust those, the spatial textures is outrageous. So you've got 8 basic reverb engines.
He doesn't mean basic.
No, I don't mean basic. So let's go back to number 1. Okay. So so here we have the structure. Okay. Let me go back to.
So that readout of spheres is basically a way of seeing menus.
Yeah.
So instead of loads of things being in a list, they're in different spheres. You select the sphere, you change the parameter within the sphere.
Exactly.
Okay.
There's also a graphic view.
They're like planets.
They're like, exactly. There's also a graphic view that you can go to.
Sorry,
that's
Meris.
arguably a little bit simpler, but this is how they've got this set out. So in this sound, if you just play this for us, so this is an ultra plate. This is the plate reverb from the Mercury. It's in the CXM as well, but the ultra plate is in the Mercury
7.
The Mercury 7. And this is the Cathedra from the Mercury 7 as well. Okay, this is their spring.
Oh, back to BB King, finally.
Yeah.
It could be adjusted from there, I'm sure, but literally nothing like a spring.
This is your favorite room. And there's what they call
so much blues, Dan.
There's so much blues. So
Sorry, I completely taken with the out of phase sounds on this guitar.
It's awesome.
Yeah.
So then we've got a plate. Then we've got a hall. There's something called the prism. Just play a couple notes on this one.
I tell you what I find about these reverbs is because they're not, to me anyway, not familiar sounds, they absolutely demand that you play something out of your wheelhouse.
Yeah.
It is awesome.
Yeah. And I think when you start delving into these sounds, and things come out of you.
Sorry, something important's just happened.
Oh, okay.
Sorry. Yes, that was. I didn't turn my phone off. I'm really sorry.
It's all right.
Something comes out.
Yeah, yeah. This is another one they've got called Gravity. Just a quick couple of notes on this one.
Why don't you have a go, Dan?
Okay, all right.
Yeah, people are bored of me playing the guitar, I'm sure. I can literally feel myself in the helmet on the outside of the space
knocking on
the window, going,
it's cold.
This reverb, I can't turn this damn reverb off.
So once you've chosen that engine, it is literally just the start of the journey. So let's just go back to the Cathedra, for example, okay? So now we've chosen the structure, we can then add a gate to any of the reverbs, which is like super cool. So
really handy if you're putting reverb on a snare drum in an 80s fashion.
That is, yeah. This really is a studio reverb that you can stick on your pedal board.
Yeah. It's an interesting transition, that, isn't it? Because, again, to mention the CXM78, as probably our favourite reverb, mine is now doing studio work.
Yeah.
And not on my pedal board.
Yep.
Because they're that good.
Yeah, totally. So the idea is, with this menu system, you can, this chooses the, whatever you're on, this will adjust it. Then you just change around the, all those, the parameters of that algorithm, but then you can change the algorithm here. So then you've got dynamics, which gives you compression, swell, diffusion, a limiter. So we're now actually putting gain dynamic characteristics into the reverb. You can put it pre the reverb, so it affects your dry sound as well, or just on the reverb, which is sort of outrageous.
What is interesting about this, as screens become more developed for this kind of device, obviously on the BigSky there, 12 years ago, or whenever it was, we've got a simple LCD, or is it an LED? I don't know. But anyway, digits.
Yep.
There's no graphics on there.
Yep.
Same on the Boss, even though that's brand new. Here we are in Mercury X land with graphics.
Mm-hmm.
And now it feels like we're stepping towards like a screen type UI.
Yeah.
So now it feels more like a plugin. And I'm wishing I could plug it into a monitor and use a mouse.
And there is I'm not sure if it's out yet, but there is that facility to be able to do that, like a web editor.
Yeah.
That you can just go on and do all that stuff on,
It's funny because I mess about with plugins and stuff all day long. I'm quite happy with using all that stuff on the computer. But when it gets to the pedal and it's that small and it's not point and click, it's actually, I've got to remember which button to press. Yeah. It takes a minute, doesn't it?
It's taken me a long time.
Yeah.
So things like pitch, you can then, there's, loads of different pitch type engines. So this is what they call a polychroma. it's
I wanted to add the overdrive because it ended up sounding like a church organ.
yeah, right, yeah.
Yeah, and that's we're heading straight into eventide territory there, aren't we?
Yeah,
And
yeah.
all the eventide people out there, you're not going to thank me for saying this. Analog drive-through,
Analog drive-through.
which makes it much less problematic
Yeah,
than.
means we can use it in a rig like this.
Yeah, we
and
couldn't
just.
and if you're confused about that, watch our video on using 2 amps together, and we'll explain it again in a minute.
Yeah, and then on top of all that stuff, the hold modifier. So, actually, similarly to I didn't know the RV-200, you could have a delay in there as well.
Yeah, it has one of the algorithms is a delay and
reverb. Okay,
Yeah.
so in this, there's a pre-delay section that has all of these different delays that you can add on, like multi-tap, and you can use the hold modifier from anything to tap in a tempo to press and hold stuff. You can have in there this thing called modifiers that you can attach to any control and control it with LFOs. So you can create a tremolo and modify the input gain, whatever. And it's one of those things that it's not intuitive. You've got to spend time with it.
Yeah.
But the things that it can do are outrageous. Sonically, I think it's astonishing. It is definitely a studio quality. I've heard a lot of reverbs say the studio quality. That is absolutely studio quality. It's basically the same quality as the CXM.
Yeah.
But with super extended possibilities. But it's whether or not you want to dive into those possibilities.
I think for what it's worth, the fight in pedals like this for some time now has been on 3 prongs, if you like. One is features and benefits. So amazing how many people will buy stuff on features and benefits and not think about UI or sound.
Yeah.
And it seems that whatever brand you go for, it might be the UI appeals to you in some brands or other brands. Similarly, the sound, we say that certain brands have a sound, etc. But that kind of triumvirate of wars, if you like.
Yeah, of course.
Sound, UI, and features and functionality, those 3 things together, somewhere in the middle of that triangle is how you choose your you choose your machine.
Yeah.
And we've come from devices that were totally indecipherable and that sounded awful, but that had tremendous number of features, to this at the other end, which ticks, the UI bit is out for debate unless you learn it, but it ticks every box.
Yeah.
Right at the other end, you've got something like UA's Heavenly or the other reverb one, forgive me.
Evermore?
Evermore, yeah. The single that are absolutely stripped down.
Yeah.
So they have the sound
with the same sonic quality though
Yeah, so they tick the sound button and they tick the UI button, but features and functionality maybe less so because they have less features. It's pretty mega.
It is astonishing.
It does sound astonishing.
Yeah,
if you have an outlet for those sounds.
Yeah. So this is what we're talking about before. What question do you have that these answer?
Yeah.
I am still, I'm months into the LVX and I'm still just scratching the surface.
Yeah.
But it's like, there are some sounds in here that certainly for me in the way that I play, I'm just gone and hours are lost.
Yeah.
Whether I've spent those hours in a way that I actually understand it better or not is debatable, but I can time is lost by playing this thing. And it's just wonderful.
Be interesting to see where Strymon go next. I know there were new versions of the BigSky and the timeline, weren't there, with updated bits and bobs?
Yeah, they've updated some firmwares, but I'm keeping an eye on Strymon.
It feels like the Mercury X is quite a long way ahead at this point.
Yeah, I think it's arguable to say Strymon are probably due for an update. The BigSky, the timeline certainly changed our world.
Yeah. And still sound amazing. Loads of people still use them. Don't think it's a slight. I didn't mean it as a slight. I meant more in terms of this kind of...
If they're pushing...
This race on all those 3 fronts.
Yeah. Killer. Amazing.
All right, let's finish with the Poly Verbs then. Hello, Loki.
Hello, Loki.
Poly, super interesting company. He's Australian, right?
He's Australian, which means he's awesome.
The Bebo, the Flat 5, the
Josh
Smith
collaboration, yeah.
overdrive pedal, from which this gets its principal kind of UI and layout. Where the Mercury X has gone, here are your 8 reverb algorithms, and you can change matters within them. Poly has gone for a different thing. So those things you see along the top there, 2, 4, 6 symbols. The 6 symbols along the top are your main preset banks.
Okay.
And they are organized into preset banks named brilliantly as Pool of the Black Star, Capricorn Cave, Santa Lucia Basilica, Echo Plates, Analog Devices, and Irregular Reverbs.
Great.
Right? And then it took me, Loki, I'm not joking, it took me 10 minutes to find the adverbs. The adverbs bank, because I thought that was the pedal's logo. But it's not, it's here. And what Loki has done, so this pedal is really all about different IRs, impulse responses, made using convolution techniques, which means you can sample the sound of a space essentially and load it into the poly. And the awesome manual explains the places where Loki has been, I presume.
Okay.
And sampled the places. So just get a load of these before we do anything else. I'm going to start off, Dan, with the longest reverb in the world, which are the inch-in-down oil tanks, disused Royal Naval Oil Depot in Invergarden, Rossshire, which is bank number 1, preset 6. And what we'll discover as Dan plays is a problem that we're going to explain next. So, amps only.
Yep. Bank number 1. Is that bank number 1?
Yep.
Preset 6.
Yep. That's how simple it is. Right. Amps only. Unbelievable. The problem that we just need to explain very briefly is we have discovered that the Verbs flips the phase on the output. We spent 2 hours chasing it down, which for 2 people who broadly know what they're talking about was a fail. So what I did there is I put the center amp back in phase with the 2 outside ones.
Right.
So we've just flipped the phase on the center amp using a humdinger by the TheGigRig. So just be aware of that. If you're using it in a wet-dry or a wet-dry-wet situation, it does flip the phase on the outputs.
Yeah, but if you're using it just on your pedal board and you're going in and out, it's not a problem.
Stereo, no
If you're
problem
using
at all.
stereo, no problem.
Yeah.
It's just in this configuration.
So before we move on, we'll just have a quick listen to a few of the algorithms, all right? I'll do one from each. So we'll go on to California Caves, and the next thing you're going to hear, Capricorn Caves, sorry, is, let's see, an abandoned cooling tower in Charleroi, Belgium. Would be Charleroi, of course, which is bank 2, preset 5 again. Oops, go on. That's actually a slinky, actually a proper spring. So the point is, if you go onto the Poly website and you have a look at all the things that have been sampled as IRs.
Right.
So the next question is, how do you get an IR? Roll VT. Okay, so we're in a old concrete, well, it's a shit store, isn't it, really? On a farm. I've got everything I need for the farm. Wellington boots.
Shamo!
Spaniel. And some balloons. It's the maddest reverby delay. Let's see.
What's this?
Okay, here we are in our kitchen at home. It's a really reverberant space with loads and loads of different surfaces, and there's this conservatory bit on the back with tons of glass. I've also put up 2 additional mics. I'm wondering if better quality mics, these are Austrian Audio CC8s arranged in an XY pattern. I'm wondering if better quality mics captures a better quality impulse. We'll see. Leave it. Let's turn the mics up. Let's see if we can use Rosie barking as an impulse. What's this? I think I've got a clean one there. Okay, slightly unusual one. What I've got here is my acoustic guitar there, and I've got the microphones on the sound hole of the guitar, and I'm interested to hear what happens when we pop the balloon and the reverberation comes back out of the guitar. I can't stop it from clipping, so I guess we're going to have to listen back and maybe do this again in the studio, but let's see. Hello. Okay, next day. I've come back to the studio. It's Sunday. And I've imported all my recordings, as you can see. Here we go. The shit store. That says Murder Barn. The kitchen. And then somewhere down here, sitting room. And if we play these just for a second, here's the best one I got in the shit store. I think this was the best one I got in the kitchen, maybe. Also got the dog barking. The sitting room on the guitar was kind of interesting. I had to wait until the end. Okay, update. I've done all that. I've output each one of those little bits as separate files, and I have saved them. Anyway, I've saved them with the correct file names. I'm now going to do something really cheeky. I'm going to record a sound that uses my favourite reverb pedal in the world, CXM78, and I'm going to record my two favorite sounds out of the CXM. And we're going to do this, right, I'm going to excite these two microphones here, which are our voice mics, sorry, should I say, for that pedal show. They hit our Neve 4081 pre's, right? That's how we record voices for the shows. They then come into our UA Apollos. I'm then going to use the Apollos to send back into the CXM78 and record the resultant reverb. Cheeky, right? I'm going to do my two favorite parameters, my two favorite presets in the CXM, and see what happens. See if I can make IRs of them and see if they will load in to the Poly. And the exciter, you'll be pleased to know, and just in case the horn or the clap doesn't work, balloon for good measure, right? Here's my favorite preset number 1. Short reverb, okay? If I now change that to my favorite reverb number 4, remember it's doing it in real time, so now you'll hear the huge number 4 reverb. I'm going to output those and see what we've got. And for those of you who desperately want to hear it, here's the horn. Okay, so it's a moment of truth. I'm not sure if it's the moment of truth. If you look down here, what I've got the verbs set up going into G3 in stereo, because G3 can do stereo in and out, so that's that. If I turn it on now, this symbol here in the middle above the numbers is where your own IRs get loaded into. These are other preset banks. That's the preset bank where they get loaded into. So I'm going to follow that process now and see if it works. What I'm going to do first is have a listen to this preset number 3, get a feel for how that sounds so that when I load the new ones in, I'll know if it's changed or not. So we'll just get a feel for how that sounds. Now, Loki says you have to use a small flash drive, not a hard drive, because it doesn't have enough power. So I happen to have this little Boss flash drive here, which also matches my guitar. What you do, here you go, here's the instructions. Insert USB flash drive into the USB-C port. Boom. Come on. No. Why doesn't that work? Because the cable isn't long enough. Okay, stop. Try again. I've got a different cable. It's always a cable. So insert into the USB-C, and it's still barely not long enough. So I don't know if that's gone in or not. Hasn't lit up on here. Kill me. Take 3. I've modified my USB cable using a finger slicing device, and I've taken some of the sleeve off around the edge of the socket. Hello, Rosie, not for you. So hopefully now it'll go in. Take 3. Insert USB-C plug. Okay, now that's gone in. I'm hoping to see this light up, which it is. Happy days. There you go. Can you see that? That's lit up. So that means it's recognizing the drive. And now tap the adverb button quickly 4 times until the lights flash to import. Adverbs. Right, ready? Something flashed. So if I pull this out, go on to preset 3, we should hear something very different. Let's see if we do. So my IRs have gone in. Let's see how successful they were. No way. Here's the shit store. So we should hear that. No. sorry, got them wrong. 0 is 1, 7 is 8, which means the shitstorm is actually 7. The files are numbered 0 to 7. The presets are numbered 1 to 8. Yeah. Here's the sitting room with the guitar. You can totally hear the resonance of the guitar in the background. That's unbelievable.
And we're back in the room. I actually have seen this, and that was brilliant. That was a weekend well spent, I would say.
I'm rather hoping that in the adverbs section are still stored my reverbs.
Okay.
Which, of course, I need to flip in print out to tell me what they are. Sorry. As if by magic, a list appeared. I'm going to put this down.
Okay.
Because it is starting to scare me a bit. I know that one day I'm going to just put it on the stool, turn around, and then the headstock will be off. So you saw the IRs that I made from the shit store through to Murder Barn, the kitchen, and the cheeky ones I nicked off the CXM.
Right.
Let's start with Murder Barn then. So I'm hoping Murder Barn will be my short room reverb.
Okay.
And that will be in number 5.
That is awesome.
So that's a reverb that I made in Murder Barn, I think. What's interesting about this, it's already got quite a significant amount of pre-delay on it. Let's see what happens when we turn the pre-delay on the Poly up.
Can we, sorry, just humour me for 1 second.
Smoosh is the extra thing.
Oh, okay. Can we go back to where it was? That's that?
Yeah.
Far out.
It sounds too good to be an IR that I made, so I'm just going to actually check these are my IRs.
Okay.
If they were Loki's IRs at this point, that would be... What did I say it was? 5.
5.
It would be Evedon Hall in Suffolk, UK. So I don't think it is that.
That's Murder Barn.
So we'll be able to tell. So the last one I made was in the sitting room with the microphones on my guitar.
Okay.
Let's see if it is. Just give it a good skank. What you'll hear after Dan hits the note is my acoustic guitar resonating.
That is absolutely mad.
I just want to prove that it's not anything in this room. Do it again.
Oh my goodness.
I think there's some crazy thing like 40 seconds of
sampling.
Okay, here's the shit store then. The reverberations are nowhere near as obvious as they were when you
Yeah.
heard me pop the balloon. And that's because on that one that you heard me pop the balloon on, I had the mics facing left, right, but the mics picked up a whole ton of wind.
Oh.
So the one you're actually hearing is with it in the other direction. So sorry about that. The wind completely killed the algorithm.
Right.
So that
But
was
if you
that.
did that on a still day, you get that.
Yeah. Okay. Difference. The one thing I'm really interested in is the difference in exciter, right? So the reason the balloon works, by the way, the best way to capture an IR is to take a sine wave from 20 to 20,000 hertz and play that, amplify that in the space that you want to capture the IR in, and then record it. That's the best way to do it.
Okay.
But that's hard to do, so a balloon will do.
Right.
And the interesting thing about the balloon is it's instant, right? There's no onset. What is interesting about Rosie barking and the horn used is you'll hear something quite interesting in the reverb tail. So this would be the CXM algorithm 4,
Okay.
using the horn as the exciter. Okay.
Okay.
1, 2, 3.
Okay. The resonant frequency it picks up?
Yeah, D, is it?
Yeah, it's C sharp.
So if we compare that with the one I used with the balloon, same thing, but now just with the balloon as the exciter.
That's unbelievable.
Yeah, but that's from the CXM. So that's the cheeky one, right? Because it's nicked straight from the CXM, processed by the CXM. Finally is my kitchen. The first one will be the dog barking as the exciter, and the second one will be the balloon popping as the exciter. So hang on, fire. That's going to be number 6 and number 4. So you can hear Rosie's bark in the. Just give it a good skank.
Oh, that is amazing.
I want to know what happens if we just increase the pre-delay. So when you play a mono note, one note, you get the dog bark. If you play 2 notes, you get the dog bark, and they sort of phase with each other.
That's really cool.
if you haven't picked it up yet, what the smoosh control does is it takes it and it kind of feeds it back a bit more, and you can add that to any of your algorithms. And finally, my kitchen, my straight kitchen, no dog, just the IR of the kitchen.
Okay, so it's done with a balloon.
Number 4, done with a balloon.
Okay. Murder barn.
That was. So the final thing I want to know is if I've captured my favorite room reverb as preset 1.
All right.
Which is using the balloon in here, captured by these mics, processed by the CXM room algorithm.
Okay.
Sorry, it's out of phase. Here we go. It's pretty killer.
It is amazing.
Final thing to say is that the switches have secondary functions. And if you, if you hold down foot switch A, Daniel. MIDI.
Boy, oh boy.
Jacks for MIDI.
Mm.
Well, yeah. Pretty so different from the others.
Yeah. It's
now,
a whole
I'm
other world.
I'm sure there are other reverb pedals out there that you can load your own IRs into. But that, for the simplicity of the UI,
It's very simple, right?
super simple.
Yeah. You see the
mo-
LEDs on here, so there's no knobs, and you'll drag
Yeah.
and change.
So the most important thing for me is that it's got the things that I want to change: the mix level, the relative amount of low end, and it would be nice to have high end as well. But anyway,
Can you get in there to change that top end? Don't know.
There's quite a lot that's editable via MIDI, but there's no app. There's no
Okay.
you can't plug it into a computer and do an app. I don't think, and apologies, it doesn't say that you can in the manual. The smoosh control is really good, just to add that extra bit of ambience if you want it. And then pre-delay. Now, it just so happens that on all of the IRs that I managed to capture, there's already a lot of pre-delay.
Yeah. Because they're real room sounds, right? And there is a pre-delay to make those, because sound has to bounce off something and come back. And that's the pre-delay that gives it the reality of the feeling of the room.
And low-key, if it wasn't for the flip phase on the output, it would be on my board tomorrow. But unfortunately, I can't use it on my board because I can't deal with the flip phase.
The only way that you could deal with the phase if you went stereo back in and you didn't have it just on one side.
Yeah, I suppose if I'd use G3 and run it stereo,
then you'd be fine.
So when it flips the phase, it doesn't matter.
Would it flip on both sides and then you're fine.
Yeah. It's very tough between that and the RV-200 for me. I get no guessing which you're going for.
Oh yeah, no, Mercury X for me.
Yeah,
I'm so blown away sonically. The possibilities of it. I'm such a fan of what they do. Since we first heard the Mercury 7 and then the CXM, having all that and all the other possibilities, but I will revisit this in months to come and just see if I've managed to actually utilize it and make some music with it.
It is credible. I mean, from a personal perspective, I have no requirement for those sounds in the Mercury X. What I want is a good plate and a good room.
Yeah.
And that'll do for me. And preferably a massive, crazy hall as well. But if it's just a good plate and a good room.
What's the hall on this one? You've got the Santa Lucia Basilica.
What hall do you want, Dan?
Right.
We've got the Pantheon of Rome, York Minster.
You got the Pantheon. How was he? What, did he go on to the Pantheon and go, excuse me, guys, I just need a minute.
You want to hear it?
Yeah.
This is the Pantheon of Rome, Dan.
I didn't expect it to sound as good as it does. It does sound rather wonderful.
The sound of real spaces.
Yeah.
Which, to bring the show to its much needed conclusion, that is what reverb pedals are for. I don't think, I mean, for sure, there's plenty of you out there that use a reverb pedal for a half decent spring sound. But I think if you're doing that, you're missing out on this wonderful world of spaces. And we just heard them. We just heard a great deal of spaces. Straight spaces in terms of the sound of the space itself, as far as the poly goes in terms of the way that it can capture IRs and reproduce them. And then seriously mucked about spaces in the case of the Mercury X, where all kinds of extra DSP is involved to do things like pitch shifting, modulation, etc., etc., etc.
Yeah.
Pretty groovy.
Yeah. So hopefully that has helped you work out if, you've got a question about reverb and what, if you're looking for one that might help you point you in a direction.
I am seriously reconsidering my rig after hearing the overdrive in the TS1.
Man, it's the best.
It really does. We didn't hear, sorry, with apologies, the Kaluna's on there. We didn't use it today. Every overdrive sound you heard was straight from the amp.
Yeah. There we go. Well, thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed that. Please subscribe if you haven't subscribed. And please go to thatpedalshowstore.com and grab some Nanu merch.
Yes. Look, this one has even got a thing on the back.
Look at that. It says That Pedal Show, and it's the shape of a pedal.
It's like a That Pedal.
Oh, heavens.
All right. That pedal shop No, thatpedalshowstore.com, thatpedalshop.com. Thanks to our preferred retailers. If you click down the links and you click on one of those and you buy something, we get kickback off that, and that helps us greatly. Yeah.
Radies, baby.
Yeah.
Massive thank you to our patrons on Patreon.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. And join us on Monday. Hopefully we get some internet happening somewhere, and we'll have viewers come with some questions. It'll happen.
Yeah.
It'll happen.
Yeah. Okay.
Take it easy. Bye.
Bye.